But I want to talk about interviewing. Your experience when talking about interviewing, what separates a great interviewer or interviewee from an average one at the executive level that you place at?
Now, this is going to sound so fundamental,
Hmm.
but people that interview really well, especially at the executive level, they match their background and experience to the job.
Hmm.
And it sounds so simple, but I can't tell you how many times I'll pitch a role, say, hey, I'm working with this company. Here's the role. Here's what it is. Here's why they're hiring. Here's how you define success for the role. And then the person just hits play in their head on their rehearsed monologue going through, and I'm like, hey, what do you think? Does that fit you? Is that interesting? They're like, well, let me first tell you about my background. And they just go through their 20-minute background explanation, but they don't draw any correlation between their background and what I just said. And folks that interview really well, that we're actually having a conversation. If there's no, like, they have stories in their back pocket ready to go, like they're prepared, but it's not like I'm getting these canned answers talking to a robot. And so the
Hmm.
people that are interviewing really well, they're like, you know what? That sounds really interesting. I've done that three different ways, and this is a little bit different. And I have a question about that. Let me ask you, is there this kind of buy-in for that? So now we're talking, and I'm like, oh, wow. Like clearly this person has done this before. And they're
Hmm.
just really good at matching, calling out differences. And of course, I have to add that they're very structured in their communication. They don't forget the question. They tend to speak in like not going on these tangents and telling these long stories, and they are succinct. So, which is hard, but yes.
Yeah. And it's so simple. It's so simple because it's simple to say, but harder to do, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
find myself doing a similar thing where if somebody asks me a question, I've got, a list of things that I can answer. But if you're actually talking to the person, not just talking about a subject, right? I think it's important, especially because I think it's the same thing with resumes, what we do, right? I mean, are you creating something? Are you responding to somebody just to throw it out there and hope that they can put all the information together and say, okay, this is exactly what you're saying? Or are they going to take the extra time to say, okay, how can I consolidate this in a really easily digestible format?